Welcome to Pure Dog Talk. I am your host, Laura Reeves, and you guys, Dr. Don Sturz is back, and we're going to talk about Westminster Kennel Club, and we're going to talk about some pretty exciting stuff you guys have planned. I know everybody has opinions, right, about the tennis center and about all the stuff, yeah? So Don and I talked about this. We think transparency is the answer.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah? So let's talk about it.
Sure.
What are we doing?
So the show this year, May 11th through the 14th, 2024, will be at the Billie Jean King Tennis Center. Premium's out, everybody knows.
Yep.
Just a reminder, entries open on February 12th and close on February 23rd. And just
February 12th, you guys, is coming up.
Get the entries in. We assume a lot of people are coming because a few of the hotels are sold out.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that means people are coming. Anyway, in that whole process, the invited dogs get counted first.
Yep.
And then there's a lottery till we get to the 2,500 dog limit.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much the same.
Everything the same, yes.
Talk to us about what's new this year, because everybody has now experienced the tennis center once. Either they went or they heard about it, because you know how people are.
Sure.
So I know you told me you guys went to Wimbledon. Not Wimbledon.
To U.S. Open.
To U.S. Open. Hi, Laura. One of those.
Yeah.
Some tennis thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we thought it would be important to go and see the tennis center as a venue with an event in it to see what we could learn from that or what we could take from that to enhance our event. The upside is we got really positive feedback about Westminster 2023. I think there was a lot of trepidation.
I loved it.
A lot of there was a lot of curiosity. I think a lot of apprehension. But once people got there, the things that we were concerned about were not issues, and it all went really, really well. We got lots of kudos. People really loved the uniqueness of it and so on. I think it's really a cool venue. It has a lot of its own history, and I think it pairs up well. From a PR point of view, right? The top event in the dog sport is at the venue for the top event in American tennis, and so on. And that's really, really wonderful, for us in that way. And we were able to transform that space. I think that was people's first issue. Was like, how are you going to make that into a dog show venue?
But it really was good.
We did, right?
Yeah.
We you basically went in there and you didn't even realize you were at the tennis center anymore because of what we had done over the courts and so on. So all of that will be the same layout.
New stuff.
Anything new with the layout would be. One of the things that I didn't like was the fact that the floor gave a bit in those outdoor rings because we had created surfaces over the court.
Sure.
And so we've worked with our engineers to create greater supports and structures underneath that platform so there will not be as much give.
Because I saw some dogs that were like...
Yeah, I felt it when I went out on the floor and I just was like, okay, that's, we were taking notes the whole time. It's like, okay, that's something we have to try to do.
Right.
So we've addressed that. Another thing that's been a perennial thing, even before the tennis center, like take it back to the piers, is the turf. Right? And so,
how many pairs of nylons did I go through in 2 days?
Exactly. So we've been working with, looking at other turf options, and so we hope to be able to say to everyone, welcome and check out the new turf. Looking at, trying to find that balance between maintaining traction, but also being a little bit easier on the knee, the pantyhose,
the pads, the dog's feet.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're going to, fingers crossed that that's something we're actually in the process of. And, I don't want to say more because it's not inked.
We're not inked.
Yeah, but we're working on that. Yeah, I have samples on my desk actually, little squares of turf all over my desk. So that's a huge plus. Another thing was the availability of food options, at the venue. Now, the tennis center, when the U.S. Open is there, they have restaurants and so on. But remember that the U.S. Open is there for weeks, and so these restaurateurs, from a financial point of view, because they're not the tennis center, they're privately owned. Open up for weeks. To get them to open up for days, from a financial point of view for them as business owners is a challenge. But we've been working on that. One of the things that we found when we were at the U.S. Open were these kiosks and carts, and we were like, well, can we have those? Because those were more under the control of the tennis center, and they're like, absolutely. So there's like, the one thing I was like, oh, there's a gelato guy. Like, I want the gelato guy. So we're
Dr. Don got you guys the gelato
guy. So things like that, carts and kiosks.
Right.
We're going to actually open up an outdoor bar. In the
you're
courtyard.
speaking to me.
Yeah, so there'll be an outdoor bar in the courtyard.
I don't have to show anything. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, so that'll be cool.
Love it.
And a few new photo opportunities for people who love those Instagram moments and stuff like that. And looking at seating for the evening. The ticketing, we don't have as much control over that. It has to go through Ticketmaster. But what we did was we hired, actually, to try to counterbalance the lack of control, we actually have hired a ticketing specialist to interface for us with Ticketmaster and the tennis center to try to facilitate tickets and how we disperse them. And we also tried to create specific areas in our seating plan so that exhibitors can be down in that lower bowl, because for some reason they were ending up way high and we had to move people down.
Oh, no, that's not going to work.
So we were trying to get ahead of that.
Right.
And I think probably the thing we're most excited for this year is that it's the 90th anniversary of junior showmanship at Westminster, which is something very close to my heart and I believe everyone's heart.
Yes.
And so we're making a big deal out of that. We want to make it a really special experience for the juniors who qualified to show this year in 2023. And they'll be hearing more about that.
Yes.
But it's going to be very celebratory. And,
Excellent.
We're making a real big deal out of that. And most importantly is the show is actually dedicated to the memory of Dave Helming.
Yes.
Dave Helming, had been the show chairman, for forever, and had been coined as the Wizard of Westminster. And
so he was on Pure Dog Talk, actually.
Yes. And so sadly, Dave had taken ill last summer and passed away. And I'm fortunate that I had time to work with him, and he kind of mentored me on the Westminster way, and so I hear his voice, not in a psychotic way, but in a sentimental way. When we're looking at things, and he and I, definitely come at this event in a similar way of wanting to be respectful and pay homage to the history and the tradition of Westminster, but at the same time, attempt to move forward and remain relevant, but always keeping, the experience for the dogs and the exhibitors as the priority.
Right.
And it's not always easy to juggle that.
No, and dogs, dog people, and Westminster particularly are so laden in draped. I mean, you're a New Yorker. You know this. There's a lot of sentiment. Like, we have to go to the Blarney Rock. We have to, right? We have our special places
so I
to
see
eat
this.
and drink.
I see where this is going. I know what the next question is.
So what are we doing for Queens?
Okay, so I thought you were going to ask something else. But anyway, in Queens, we actually have been working with the Queens Borough Council trying to connect with them and to identify places where people can go to eat. Like my favorite is the Park Restaurant. It's an incredible Italian restaurant. It's just on the other side of Grand Central. You just go across the highway, but you have to make reservations.
But there's a whole Asian food
I was just going to say
market
that there's
huge
in Queens itself. Like in Manhattan, you have Little Italy and you have Chinatown. Actually, Queens has areas of that nature for particular Asian communities and a lot of incredible restaurants.
Yes,
in
like
those
a whole,
areas.
isn't it like underground?
Everything, it's incredible. So those are places for people to explore, as well. And so we're just trying to think in terms of how do we raise the bar. It went exceedingly well last year. How can we tweak? Right. How can we elevate?
And build our new traditions.
New traditions, exactly. And then, but as well as keeping in mind old traditions, which is where I thought you were going to go, right?
Yes.
And because I've been dancing around this question. It's the question that gets asked most often. The number one question I get asked, I've been asked all weekend here. I get asked every time I'm at a dog show. Will we ever be back at Madison Square Garden? That's what
I was trying to be nice about this.
That's what you all want to know.
Everybody wants to know, will we ever go back to the garden?
Okay, so my standard answer has been for the past year, never say never. Remember, I grew up in this. I showed at Westminster the first time when I was 10 years old. And so in my mind, I've moved to calling it Westminster because we're not
Instead
at
of calling it the
instead
Garden.
of calling it the Garden because
I haven't gotten there yet.
It's hard, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd like to get back to be able to say the Garden. So it is something that we're working on. The fact of the matter is Madison Square Garden remodeled.
Yeah,
and when they did that remodeling, it
took away all that space.
It took away all that space. So there's no way to have a daytime event. So that's how we ended up at the piers.
Right.
So then that thing called COVID hit, right? And blah, blah, blah.
Blah.
Okay. During that time,
mostly blah.
Blah. During that time, Pier 92 fell in the water.
Well, somebody ran into it with a boat.
Yeah, it just crumbled.
Seriously.
And fell into the water. So that's gone. Pier 94 is actually being remodeled and will no longer be an exhibition space. It's going to be smaller spaces for individual businesses and so on. So the piers are off the table.
Well, and you guys went through this whole incredible search process.
Incredible search process. Really basically looked at every possible venue in New York City or the metropolitan area. We went to Newark and looked at there's an arena there.
Newark.
Yep. It doesn't sound glamorous, but we had to exhaust everything.
Right. You got to try.
And so Newark is
it's my favorite airport to fly into.
Close proximity to
Yes.
Manhattan.
Yes.
We also went a little further out into Queens to the Nassau border and looked at an arena there, and and all of these we kind of looked at it from a space point of view, like how would it work, right? In Manhattan itself, it's very limited as to what venues, limited to there's really only one.
Yeah.
And so that's the one that I've been working on. So we're going to be in one of those kinds of venues that's going to hopefully afford us the opportunity to then be back at Madison Square Garden in the evening. So watch for that.
Okay.
We will certainly
Teaser,
announce that. Yes.
Teaser.
If that's going to happen, trust me,
Teaser.
you will know. You will hear about it. So
there will be shouting from the Empire State Building.
There will be. It's one of those things. We've been working very, very hard on this. Since last spring. Yeah. And so we've been planning 24. We've been planning 25 because what's really important is in 2026 is our 150th anniversary, and so Westminster wants to really celebrate its history that year.
Okay.
And wouldn't it be fabulous?
Okay, I'm going to start crying. If we can go back for the 150th.
The 150th at Madison Square Garden would be pretty. That would be an amazing story, right?
That would be an amazing
journey
story.
Of Westminster
It would be an amazing
getting
story.
Home for its
Yes.
150th.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
I get goosebumps. That's my hope. That's my dream.
Come on, you guys. Everybody, let's do
manifest.
150th. At
so
Westminster
that's what we're
Kennel
working
Club.
on, and that's what we're hoping for.
Okay.
And I love the tennis center, and it's great. We have a great relationship with them. They love us. They want us there, and so we're going to make sure 24 the tennis center is as good, even better than last year. I think the tennis center is even more comfortable with giving us more leeway because they know the event.
Well, here's the thing I like, and I'm sorry, I'm not from New York, and a lot of dog people aren't from New York, just in case you were wondering.
Correct.
Okay. And many dog people don't train their dogs how to poopy on a sidewalk.
Yeah, that's an issue.
I'm just saying, I understand all the mystery and the drama and the hoo-ha, but I'm telling you, my poor dog walking to Central Park and stopping to point pigeons in the crosswalk, I'm like, tap her on the head, move, we're gonna die. This is a thing.
It's all part of the experience.
It's so part of the experience.
Everybody's got great Westminster stories, right? So that's what we're shooting for. And like I said, if it's 25, it's really the plan is to try to find something for 25 that is also 26 because we just need to stop moving. We need our home.
ProPlan is always advancing with game-changing formulas that promote mental sharpness and help extend lives. See what nutrition can do. Purina ProPlan, always advancing.
Trupanion is revolutionizing medical insurance for pets by providing the best possible experience to our members. And it's not some space-age dream. It's happening now. We pay your veterinarian directly while you're checking out, and we're the only ones who can, which means you have decisions in seconds, and you don't have to wait for reimbursement. So unlike with other providers, you'll keep more money in your pocket. ask your veterinarian if Trupanion can pay them directly. Because there's pet insurance, and then there's Trupanion.
Dates.
Dates. Dates are a real challenge because any of the venues that we're looking at have a lot of restrictions because of sporting events, whether it's basketball or hockey.
Yep.
And so the availability and the flexibility for dates, and then think about it though, we're dealing with a daytime venue, but also Madison Square Garden in the evening, and trying to sync what's available at Madison Square Garden with when the daytime venues are available with when Fox Sports is available.
Exactly. There's a few moving parts.
And that's
the first tier. I understand, but this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm trying for listeners to hear. Yeah. Right? Like, listeners, you guys live this.
Yes.
These guys just bitch about it. So sorry, y'all, but that's a fact.
You know what it is? We're so committed to making it the special event that it always is.
Right.
There's nothing like it. And there's lots of fabulous events in our sport, but there is nothing in the world like Westminster. There's something magical about that event.
There's fairy dust.
Yes, and so that's something that we consistently commit ourselves to is the Westminster experience, right? That creating that magic. What do we need to do? And so I have a great team. I have a great staff. I'm really, really fortunate. And some of them have been with Westminster for quite a long time, and then we've got some new, fresh, blood on the team. So which is always great, right? To get a little new perspective. We have a new chief of staff, Michael Josephs, who came to us from the National Soccer League. So a lot of experience in doing large sporting events.
Nice.
So he's bringing a different perspective. We have a new director of communications, Allison Younger, who's got 20 years experience in the communications industry, came from the Animal Medical Center and National Service Dog Organization, and so she's got an awareness, but also again coming from outside dog show per se. So there's some nice fresh perspective along with that foundation of our people who've got the foundational history and knowledge of the event and knowledge of the sport. Right? So I think we're just, Westminster's in a really great place. I think it's a pivotal moment for Westminster.
And I'm going to put my shout out here, you guys. Don has done an amazing job, and I don't know that he gives himself enough credit or people give you enough credit for doing the things that you've done.
Well, thank you.
I'm serious.
It's my passion.
I know.
There's no other way to do
crying.
this.
Okay, there's no crying on dog shows.
There's no way to do. No other way to do this.
Yeah.
And we're really committed. The whole team is committed. The Westminster Kennel Club members are a great group of individuals who are very dedicated to Westminster continuing to be what it always was. And so anybody involved in putting on shows knows, the financial side of this is something people never talk about. I just heard a conversation this morning, and I don't think people are always aware of that in order for the exhibitors to experience what they experience, there's a lot of people working hard and a lot of money being spent.
Rather obscene amount of money.
And so this is something where we try to we budget carefully with what we do with Westminster, but costs, as in everything, continue to go up.
And the exhibitor costs, same thing. Exhibitors got to spend
travel
money.
Expenses, everything. And so just thinking of that, we know that as a fact. So we want people to have that special experience. To me, it's like I don't know. I think going to Westminster is kind of like going to Disney.
It is going to Disneyland.
So it's like Disney for the dog sport, and so I think that's what you want it to be. You want it to be magical. You want people to experience it in a way that they don't experience at any other dog show.
Okay, so here's a throwdown. We're going to do a throwdown here on the podcast. I didn't even warn you about this.
Okay.
Y'all out there, everybody has a Westminster story.
Yes.
And I want you to tell me them. So you're going to come on the Facebook page, and you're going to tell me your stories.
Oh, I love that. That's cool. Very cool. I love it.
And if you have really great stories, I'll get you on the video, and we'll record your stories.
Oh, that's fantastic. Love that. All right, cool.
All right.
And we'll definitely key in with that. We may
we'll
piggyback on that and
we can make some
push
of
that out from Westminster.
Because this is what I'm saying. I can tell you my Westminster stories. Don can tell you his Westminster stories. There is not a single exhibitor who has been to Westminster Kennel Club, the Garden, that doesn't have a story.
Absolutely.
Whether it's the Hotel Pennsylvania,
yes.
Whether it's the Blizzard,
yes.
Pick a blizzard, any blizzard will do. Everybody has a story. Win, lose, or draw.
I was just say the wins, the losses.
Right.
Yes,
Win, lose, or draw. Everyone has a story.
Yeah, it's very true. And I think that's one of the things that comes into play here, right? There's this cohesiveness around this event because everyone has had that universal experience in some way.
It is one of the few places, I think, where our purebred dog world has community. Because it is the community of I've been to Westminster.
Yes.
This is my story. Well, this is my story. How do you make community with people?
Yes.
You have shared stories.
Yes, and that's
shared
something
history.
that we treasure, and so that in moving forward with the event, we try to keep that front of mind, right? That you want people to leave having had an experience, having created new memories, and to have a story.
Have a story. Make a story.
Exactly.
Whatever your story is.
Yeah.
All right, you guys.
So
I love
one before we cut out, definitely look for a new website and app to come out. It's actually in process. We've got
cool.
a new digital media
There
person
was
on
an
board.
app a million years ago.
Yeah.
But it went away. Sorry. Side note, Lance, you can fix that.
We're gonna have a new
Lance
one.
has
We're gonna have a new one.
A new app.
And
okay.
so a new website. And I actually just did I don't know. I'm not techie. A run through, a walk through, or whatever they were taking me
Debugging.
through me through the new website
Cool.
and trying to make it more user friendly and more intuitive.
Intuitive.
Exactly. And so look for that to come out. We're hoping that comes out by the end of February. That'll be up and ready to go.
Good.
And then shortly after that, hoping for our new app to be up and running.
A new app.
Yeah. So we got a lot going. Yeah, it's
Ziggity.
like I got a lot of plates spinning here.
And you're judging here, and we are, by the way, shout out to Rose City Classic.
Amazing event, and I can't tell you how impressed I am with how they navigated Mother Nature's curveball. Everything covered in ice. Judges not arriving. I said at one point, like I say, Elsa. Somebody needs to tell Elsa that she needs to stop letting it go.
Take a pill. Just take a pill, Elsa, because
we're frozen. We're beyond frozen.
We're skating. There was a lot of skating.
Really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah.
And they really held it together.
They did.
But
you know what? I think it's one of those things as well. Like right when there's hardship or challenge, the dog show community pulls together every time, and everybody kind of just went with the flow, right?
And you just
whatever you got to do.
You got it. And I mean, I know people with car troubles and this and that, and I mean, I came and judged a specialty on Wednesday that the show chair couldn't get to. And they just figured it out.
I had similar. The poodle specialty was like one
Cockers.
person. There was and then people kept showing up to help. And that's just what you do.
And that is part of what we love about Westminster Kennel Club, and it's what we love about our purebred dog community, and what we're going to celebrate in the next couple of months.
I think that's awesome. And so as we move forward, hopefully we'll do this again.
We will totally do this again.
I'll give you the scoop if there's so many changes coming up in the future.
I'm gonna get the. All right, right here, you guys. I've got a handshake on video.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right.